My dear sister, Lucille Petty Nelson, I can't think of anything I would rather be doing now than to talk about how much we all love you, your family that's here with me. When I think of you, I think of supportive, I think of giving, I think of kindness, I think of rescue. There just aren't enough words to say all of the things that you do for all of us, the whole family. And we just want you to have the happiest, best birthday ever.
I can't talk about one sister without talking about them all. And I can't talk about the sisters without talking about the brothers and brother-in-laws. But I'll be brief. Bo first. I can do whatever I can do. I can think as well as I can think, which is not too well. But as I can compete in thinking with anybody that I've ever tried to compete with, but Bo. Okay, I never could get quite to the point that he was. Okay, Henry gave me my down payment for my first house, and we laughed a lot. Sheik, he told me one of the most important things I ever learned in life, which was that I was at the top of Fool's Hill. He said if I kept dealing with the people that I was dealing with and doing the things that I was doing, I'd be an old fool if I got to be old, but I was probably going to get old. But I had a choice that I could use my brain and change and do the things that I knew I should be doing. And that made a difference to me. And my sisters, let's start with the oldest one, Roz. I stayed with her 3 or 4 months, a month out of 3 or 4 years when I was younger, and I was treated just like one of her sons. She treated me that way, and so did her husband. Okay, except for I got their boys in trouble a couple of times, and he whipped them, but he wouldn't whip me, even though I begged him to whip me because I did it. He said no, but they should have stopped it. They knew better. He said, I'm not touching you because I got to live with Roz. So, and Lucille, only thing I can say about Lucille is that I never came to her not one time with a harebrained scheme, and I came to her with a lot of them that she didn't support me and do whatever was necessary for me to do it. And so she helped not only me, but she helped so many people that it could go on and on. But so did John. Whenever I dealt with Lucille, and she agreed to whatever I was doing, I told her I wouldn't touch it without talking to John. So I'd go to John and say, hey man, I talked to Lucille about whatever, and she said, okay. He said, well, you think you can do it? And I say, I think I can. He said, well, have at it. So, and then I get to Ann, the youngest sister. Well, the first thing I think of importance in my life was when she kept me in school. I got put out of high school. The first week I was in high school, they told me I couldn't come back without my mother and father, which I was not going to tell my mother and father. I got put out of school. And so I went and sat on Ann's front porch, and she looked out the door and said, what are you doing here? And I told her, and she came back and told the principal that my parents was out of town and that she was my aunt. And so the principal let me back in school. She bought my high school ring, and she and Maurice both allowed me to do a lot of things that I shouldn't have been doing, but one in particular. I got a car impounded, and all Maurice did was laugh. He never said a word to this day. He never said a word. Whenever he see me, he just do nothing but laugh. He also signed for me to buy my first new car when I was a carpenter apprentice. So, ending this, only thing I can say is that I wouldn't trade if I had a choice. Not any of those people in my family.